deep stillness that settles over Hawkins, a quiet little town tucked away in the Indiana countryside. The night stretches out gently, like a dark page being turned without a sound. One by one, the houses grow silent, their warm lights fading behind heavy curtains. The streets empty, leaving behind only the soft vibration of the night air. Even the trees, standing tall like patient silhouettes, seem to hold their breath. But beneath this calm surface, something begins to move. Something invisible, delicate, almost like a thread pulling tight in the darkness. A little outside the town, hidden among the woods, rises a grey, austere building, the Hawkins National Laboratory. At night, it looks even more secret, more isolated, as if the forest itself refuses to embrace it. At this late hour, the hallways should be quiet, bathed in a sterile pale light. But suddenly an alarm pierces the silence, a sharp, insistent cry, slicing through the calm like a blade. The sound ricochets off the walls, fills the rooms, and saturates the air with urgency. A scientist is running. His breath is short, uneven, shaped by fear. His footsteps echo on the polished floor. He looks behind him, again and again, as if something in the shadows is advancing too. Slower, but inevitable. The corridor feels endless. The lights flicker, momentarily carving the hall into flashes of brightness and blackness. He reaches the elevator and hits the button repeatedly, his finger trembling. At last the doors open. He rushes inside, and just as the doors close, a shape slips across the corner of the hallway. Just a shadow, a brief movement, a breath. The man holds his own breath, trapped in a moment of absolute fear. Time stretches around him, thick and heavy. When the elevator doors finally part on the next floor, he dashes outward, but before he can call out for help, something takes him, without form, without substance, like a void closing around him. And then, nothing. Silence returns, deep and complete.
While fear begins weaving its first threads inside that secretive laboratory, the town of Hawkins continues to live peacefully, unaware of what has just awakened in the dark. In the warm basement of a suburban home, 4 boys are gathered around a table, lost in their imaginary universe. Soft light falls over the game board, the figurines, the dice. The air smells of carpet, old cardboard boxes, and leftover cold pizza. Mike Wheeler, the dungeon master, studies the board with focused seriousness. Beside him, Dustin Henderson adjusts his cap, an anxious little habit that appears whenever excitement builds. Lucas Sinclair leans forward, analyzing the map with care, and Will Byers, the quietest of the group, rolls the dice with a shy smile, watching them bounce and settle like a whispered answer from fate. They laugh, tease each other, and journey through their fantasy world as if time has stopped for them alone. In that basement, nothing exists outside their game. It is their refuge, their little world. But when footsteps echo upstairs and Mike's mother announces the late hour, the bubble dissolves softly. The boys sigh, gather their things, as if closing a cherished book. They climb the stairs, step outside, and hop onto their bikes. The night greets them with a cool breath. Street lights scatter pale halos across the damp pavement. Their bike tires glide smoothly, cutting through the quiet air. Will rides with Dustin for a while, then turns down his usual shortcut through the wooded area they call Mirkwood. There, the darkness feels deeper. The wind slips between the branches with an unsettling gentleness, and a particular kind of silence settles around him. Will pedals at an easy pace, but a faint sensation brushes over him, instinctive, delicate, as if the night itself has changed texture, as if something unseen is watching without moving. He keeps going, then suddenly, on the road ahead, a silhouette, still, upright, unrecognizable. Will brakes sharply. His bike skids lightly on the gravel. His breath pauses. The figure remains motionless. Not a single step. Fear settles slowly in his stomach, cold and sharp. He steps away from the bike. One step, then another, and then panic bursts inside him. He turns and runs toward his house with all the strength he has. His footsteps pound against the damp ground, fast and desperate. He crosses the yard, reaches the door, and slips inside. The house is silent, dark, heavy. He locks the door, tries to steady his breathing, and searches instinctively for a weapon. His hands tremble as he grabs his father's rifle and attempts to load it. But something is approaching, a presence, a weight in the air. The lamps flicker, the bulb stutters, and then goes out. In the darkness, something moves toward him, slowly, inevitably, and in a single moment, Will Byers disappears. The next morning, Hawkins wakes gently. Newspapers land on porches, coffee brews in kitchens, children get ready for school. No one knows yet that something essential is missing from the fabric of the town. Joyce Byers senses it instantly. Will is not in his room. His bed is untouched. The house is quiet. In the wrong way. She asks Jonathan, her older son. He hasn't seen him either. Quickly, worry rises like a tide inside her. Will would never disappear without a word. She goes to the police station, where Chief Hopper listens, weary but attentive. His face carries the weight of old griefs and unanswered questions. But something in Joyce's voice, in her fear, breaks through his doubts. He agrees to start an investigation. Meanwhile, at school, Mike, Dustin, and Lucas learn Will never arrived. Shock washes over them, cold and immediate. They know instantly something is wrong. They decide to search on their own. The day moves forward. Rain begins to fall, timid at first, then heavier, then relentless. The streets shine under the downpour, and the sound of the rain becomes a soft but constant drumbeat on roofs and windows. Joyce remains near the phone. Every sound makes her heart jump, and then it rings. She answers. A breath, a fragile voice, a whisper she knows by heart. Will, she is certain. She speaks to him, calls him, begs for answers, but the line is pierced with strange sounds, unnatural, static mingled with something that feels alive, a distorted breath, almost inhuman. Then the phone explodes with a sharp crack. The day moves forward. Rain begins to fall, timid at first, then heavier, then relentless. The streets shine under the downpour, and the sound of the rain becomes a soft but constant drumbeat on roofs and windows. Joyce remains near the phone. Every sound makes her heart jump, and then it rings. She answers. A breath, a fragile voice, a whisper she knows by heart. Will, she is certain. She speaks to him, calls him, begs for answers, but the line is pierced with strange sounds, unnatural, static mingled with something that feels alive, a distorted breath, almost inhuman. Then the phone explodes with a sharp crack. Meanwhile, the three boys push deeper into the forest despite the storm. Their flashlights cast trembling circles of light across the wet bark. Every rustle seems amplified by the darkness. They move, slowly, carefully, and then shape, small, still, silent, a girl, her head nearly shaved, soaked through, pale, exhausted. She does not speak. She does not run. She simply watches them with a strange, intense gaze. On her wrist, a tattoo, a single number, but a number that changes everything. They do not yet know who she is, where she came from, what she has endured, but a truth is already forming quietly between them. Will's disappearance is not an accident. Something moves through Hawkins, something from somewhere else, and this child, this lost girl standing in the rain, is the key to a much larger mystery. The rain continues to fall. The forest breathes around them, and in the darkness, another presence watches. In Hawkins, the story is only beginning, and already the fragile fabric